Hey guys, today we are talking about the things that you need to check with your tack so that, number one, you don't get hurt this year. January is a great time to have a look through all of your tack and just make sure that everything is serviceable and nothing is going to let go on you while you're riding. Number two, so that you're not irritating your horse. If something is worn out or getting close to being worn out, it might be just rubbing or itching or not protecting your horse the way that it's supposed to. And number three, so that when you get to the show pen and you have all your show gear out that you haven't seen since last fall, you don't have any ugly surprises that are panic inducing. Three things that we love to avoid if we possibly can. So can you start us off with some of the reasons why we need to go through our tack room and our most frequently used tack, and I guess our show tack now rather than at Horsham?
And just safety is the biggest one. You know, leather's a natural fiber. You know, in Canada, some people have heated tacks, and that has its own problems. Some people don't. I think for some of the tack, we see people leave it in their horse trailer, which is not good for it, but reality is people do it, so we try to encourage everybody to kind of get it out, clean it, take a look at it, get your hands on it, see what's, you know, either dried and cracked out or just wearing out, and where it needs fixing now. It's easier to get it fixed now than it is the week of the show.
Yeah, I think you said something that's really important there when you said it's a natural product, because I think we kind of have an expectation that when we buy something new that it's going to last us at least for as long as the last thing lasted us, or at least for a certain length of time before it starts to break down. But the reality is that it is a natural product, and you know, when we're working with leather, every piece is a little bit different, so you may not be able to have the same expectation. You know, we never really know when something is going to get worn out or why something is going to get more worn out on one side than the other. So I think it's just really important to go through and check, even if we think, oh, I just bought that, or my last one lasted for this long. We just be meticulous. When I used to teach group lessons and summer camps, and we had, you know, beginners riding in them, beginners tacking horses up, we used to make a point of every January and every June going through the entire tack room, and we didn't use a whole lot of equipment, just saddles and bridles, but we would go through the whole tack room and just check on the repair of all of the tack and any of the parts that could wear out, and make sure that either it got the TLC that it needed or got repaired before something bad happened. You know, imagine having a kid out for their first lesson and something breaks, bridle falls off, or billet strap breaks or something. Like, we, knock on wood, never had anything like that happen. And
I usually do that myself.
You usually do it yourself, yeah. So that's great.
I worry about the lesson saddles more than myself. Actually, I've been a lot better. It's funny, as a kid, I used to go through my saddles like every week and clean them, and I was so like proud of my first saddle, so I was going to take care of them. Yeah. And then I got where it was just get on the next horse, get, you know.
Well, I even noticed, like, I pulled this saddle out, and I even noticed it didn't get dusted down before winter, and I know that it was because at the last show, it would have just got thrown in the bag and thrown in the horse trailer, and it would have been like, let's get out of here and get home, and that's relatable, for sure. So, January, let's just check up on all the tack, make sure it's serviceable. Can I go on my rant first about safety, just basic safety stuff?
You always rant.
Okay.
Do whatever rant you want.
Okay. These are the things that I want you to check. I want you to go out into your tack room after you're done watching this, or you can pull this back up and watch the replay when you're actually in your tack room or your horse trailer or wherever you keep your tack. And I want you to check your water loops. So I want you to check and make sure that this is tied properly, in good condition, doesn't look like it's cracking or breaking. And if it does, or if you're not sure, then just fix it. Don't wait. Don't think, oh, I think that's actually probably fine.
And you can buy new laces.
You can buy new laces. We have some.
One that, when we do clean them, we go through them, is we just untie these laces. If they cannot be untied because they're like ours will get a lot of sweat on them from training horses. If they can't be untied, then just put new ones on.
Yeah.
And if they are going back in, put some oil on them, on that tie. Put some oil on there, and before you run it back through the holes, and it does them a world of good.
Yeah. Okay, so make sure you check that, and then also make sure you check how your rein attaches. So you're checking how your headstall attaches to your bit, so that you don't have your bit fall off of your headstall while you're riding. If Lindsay, you're giggling as if you've seen that happen or it's happened to you before. A lot of people have seen that happen, and sometimes it ends well and sometimes not so well. Let's not test that theory. So this is the other part that you need to check, which is your reins. How do your reins attach to your bit? Let's check that. Make sure that it is tight, which it is not. Make sure that it's in good condition, and
another spot
that you're
check,
feeling really confident.
like you check where you tie it. Check here where it's rubbing on the bit. I think anywhere there's a movable part. So you check there.
Yes.
You check there because it's going to rub. Hey, sorry.
Okay, check your ties. Then check the spot where your leather rubs onto your bit. Okay, here and here. And also your curb chain. Make sure that your curb chain is not worn out right in those areas where it rubs on the bit.
And the buckle, the curb chain.
Actually, yeah, especially our buckles. The buckles this buckle actually is looking pretty tough.
They get sweated on.
They rot out.
Yeah. Go over it 100%.
Those?
Put oil everywhere.
And then the other part I have to rant about, I have to emphasize, is on your saddle. You want to check everything on your saddle, okay? But this is probably the most important thing, is down here. Move this a little bit. It's down here. You want to make sure that your billet strap, latigo, whatever you call it, your billet strap is in good shape. It's still tied on securely. It's still in good shape here where it rubs. You want to be able to like move that over and actually check the integrity here. This is the spot where it usually wears out. It will usually wear out here before it wears out down in the holes, or down, this one isn't very well used, but like down wherever it wears from getting wrapped around, okay? Just check this whole thing. Just check this whole sucker. Like pull it up, pull on it, have a look at it, check all of the parts of it. If anything feels like it's questionable, then just get a new one. What are these? What do these cost? These nylon ones? $30 or something?
And I think when they're getting cleaned, especially on the leather ones, the same as the bridles, take them off, oil underneath them, oil where you don't see. That's the most important part.
And you got to remember that you have the other side too. That's the thing that I see people do wrong, is they will look after this piece because this is the piece that they're doing up and undoing all the time. They'll make sure that this one is in good shape, and they'll completely forget about the off billet. So make sure that you do the same thing over on this side, that you get right in here. Now this one's leather, that you get right in here and you actually check up in here. See, this part wears a lot faster than the holes do usually. Check both of them too. Some of them are really stuck together. Make sure you pull them apart and actually check both of them. This one's in good shape. And then the stitching is coming apart.
Of course it is, because it's one of my saddles I take care of.
This is my saddle. Okay, my rant is over. Those are the things, if you do nothing else, those are the things you need to do to stay safe. Go ahead. Your turn. Yeah, you're on.
The one that I think people overlook after the belt strap is I want to take this off. Little Blevins buckles will wear out a little bit, and it's not the end of the world. I mean, you can get them replaced cheap enough. We always have a bunch of them, or you even just take some Gorilla Tape or something and tape them so that they're that way. Because what happens is that rubs that. Look at your holes through here. Make sure that they're not getting punched through. Make sure this end of the Blevins buckle, those pegs aren't rotten and coming out. And then one that I tell everybody to do, see where this is at. Pull that up where it sits around the tree. And then while you got it out, put some oil up in here. This is where it's going to wear out the holes in here. So look what this is doing. Put a bunch of leather or oil up in through here. Those are the spots for me that they're always going to have trouble, especially if they sit all winter. You know, I want to flip the saddle upside down and look at everything that I can't see normally.
And you can replace, like if this is worn out, you can get that repaired. Or you can just replace the entire fender if the fender is looking like it's in tough shape. You can also just buy Blevins buckles. You can just buy that on its own. I can't remember how much they are, but they're not very much money. They're a pretty inexpensive fix or replacement. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about bridles, or did we cover that?
No, just every buckle and every attachment.
Oh yeah, we did. Chicago screws. If you don't have water loops, if you use
Check your Chicago screws. Take the Chicago screws out. I don't use a lot of Chicago screws because I find they come out. But some of the ones that will be up here, take those Chicago screws right out. They're really cheap to replace. The insides will come out and rot out. And then all of a sudden they come out, especially if you got them here. But if you take these ones out this time of year, when you go to show and you go to take them off, put your show head stall on, you know you can get them off. There's nothing worse than being at the horse show and you can't get them
Hold
apart.
this up for a second to show, in case somebody's like, what the heck is a Chicago screw? It's just a different way of attachment. Instead of a water loop, there's just a little screw that goes in there. So you want to make sure that, one, it's nice and tight, or two, make sure that you actually undo it, pull it out, and make sure that it's still threading properly so that you can get it tight for when you go show. That's probably the most common thing that we see happen at the horse shows, would you say? Mm-hmm. Is that that comes loose and somebody's bridle falls off while they're showing the Chicago screw.
And while you have this open, put oil in there, because that's where the sweat, and because you have that slot for the buckle, that's where they're going to break. Get oil right up in there and get it where you can't see in between that joint.
Okay. Saddle pads. Want me to hold it and you can talk? Boop. This is dirty.
I think for a lot of people, when they don't ride a lot, you get them a year and then they throw the saddle pad on a rack or they throw them in their trailer. Especially the wool and fleece ones where they get matted hair in them. You know, they either need to be cleaned before you put them up. They're not great, but, you know, try not to let them freeze. Again, it's just a good time of year. Look at it. You know, because they always will get the extra hair back in through here. And then when you put them on in the spring, they're a little uncomfortable. It's a good time to kind of look through everything. Do you need a new one? Does yours need cleaned? You know, get it done now so that you can see that. I mean, this is an old work pad of ours, still in decent shape, but we use them all the time, so they're continually going. But the ones that are going to sit, you really want to make sure that you, you know, clean that underside off. Any of the ones that are contoured with stitching, look at the stitching.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the stitching, like this one pad, it's all one piece, but a lot of saddles are stitched up the middle. You want to check the integrity of that stitching and make sure that that's not going to come apart. Because even if it's loose, if it hasn't like come apart to the point that it's two separate pieces, but it's loose, that can be pinching your horse.
And it's easier to fix it or buy it now when you're not in a rush the week before a horse show. You know, you take out your show head, you know, your show head stall and your show pad or whatever, and you notice they didn't winter well. and then you're in a rush to try to fix it. You know, the work stuff you'll be using before then, but the show stuff, a lot of people leave till the last minute. You really want to, you know, just see it beforehand, because it's way easier to replace it or fix it before.
Okay, and then one last piece of equipment to check is any of your boots.
This is one you see a lot. You know, everybody will get done that last horse show. They throw their nicer boots or whatever they've been riding, and they throw them in a bag or somewhere in their tack room, and they get the gook up underneath here. They get worn out. You know, they sit for long periods of time. You should have, after the last horse show, taken them in and washed them. They're going to last longer if they were put up clean. And then you can also see like all three of these are old worn out boots that are pretty much ready to be thrown out. And you know, the Velcros aren't as sticky anymore. You know, we've used them
This one's
a lot.
worn. You know, anywhere down in the heel area takes a lot of wear and tear.
Every discipline's going to have a different spot that they wear them out.
Yeah, even just how much your Velcro is sticking. Like this hardly has any life left to it. So if we're still using this boot, we want to be taping it or just getting rid of it. It's served its purpose at this point. And they all do wear out. You're never going to get a boot that lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
That one,
Like this one,
that one's wearing right there.
yeah, the young horses have been pushing on that. The reiners will wear them out here a little more than anywhere else. You know, usually the bell racers will wear them out on their sides just a little bit, and the rope horses and stuff. You know, but just look at them now.
And then same thing with what we were saying about your saddle pad. This one really doesn't have a lot of Velcro either. But you want to check anywhere where there's stitching, because that's where it's going to come apart. This one obviously has come apart, you know, to the point that we need to be throwing it out. Anywhere where there's stitching, you just want to check the integrity of that stitching. And sometimes it's worth just repairing. In this case, it's not. You know, this is kind of coming apart in the Velcro.
Those are an old set of boots.
Yeah.
I've had that pair for a long time.
It's kind of neat. You can see how much foam is in there protecting their splint bones.
Mm-hmm. Biggest thing is get looking at that stuff now. Oil the leather, clean it off. You know, do any of the stuff that you should have did it in the fall, but
Wipe the dirt off. Yeah, wipe the dirt off and then clean, and then oil, and then oil again if you need to, and oil again if you need to. Check the integrity of all your water loops. Check your Chicago screws. Check your stitching.
one thing we didn't talk about too is check your bits too.
Oh yeah.
You know, like a
didn't talk
correction
about that
mouthpiece
wears out.
has multiple movable parts. Steel wears out over time.
Yeah.
You know, make sure if it's blued steel, you can clean it and put a little oil on it to keep them good. If they're aluminum, just, you know, clean them up and just see what's going on with all the hinges. You know, make sure if they're bits that are justified to be repairable, you know, send them to the bit makers now to be repaired. And if they're not, then, you know, find another option. Come buy some from us.
Come buy some from us. Yeah. Nice. Nice plug. Okay, if you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to leave them here for us and we'll circle back. We actually have some videos on some of the things that we've talked about. We have a video about taking care of your blued steel. Yeah, we do. What else do we have? There was something else that we talked about. Oh, we have some about how to tie on your it's actually for your back cinch, but how to tie on your billet straps if you take those right off. If you have any questions, just let us know and we will do our best to get those answered for you. Thanks for being here with us, and we will see you next week with some more questions to get answered. One rant? Yeah, one rant. Go.
If you put your reins up
Oh, geez.
a long time ago and they weren't perfectly straight, you're going to regret it now.
Yeah.
So if you had them twisted in any way, now's a good time to get them flat,
Threw
get them
them in a
straight.
box, or threw them in the horse trailer, or whatever, yeah.
Twisted reins suck. Get them straight now. Or come buy a new pair from us.
For somebody. No, in all seriousness, you can check out all the equipment that we have for sale at rainingtackcanada.com, and you can ask us if you need help with anything. You can just ask us. We're happy to give you our best advice on any of the items that are in the shop.
And since it's minus 100 today in Canada, good day to do it. We do stuff
Good day
inside.
to bring your tack inside and look it over. Yeah, not out in the cold. Where, yeah. Okay, thanks for being here with us, you guys, and we'll see you next week.